We now like to welcome Kimberly Murray. She is the Independent Special Interlocutor for Missing Children and Unmarked Graves and Burial Sites associated with the Indian residential schools. She is going to provide us with her opening remarks.
Sego, Seguego, good morning, everyone. As I said last night, I'm Kimberly Murray. I'm Mohawk of Kanesatake, and it's my great honor to be the Independent Special Interlocutor. I hope that everyone enjoyed the dinner last night and the cultural performances and that were shared with us. And I also hope that everyone had time to meet with each other and share with each other. And I do hope that everyone gets an opportunity to go to the Sacred Fire if you haven't had an opportunity to do that yet. I want to say miigwech to Peter for your opening words and your beautiful opening song that you provided. And for bringing our minds together as one as we start our conversations today. And they're important conversations about upholding Indigenous laws in the search and recovery of missing children. I say Nawe and miigwech to the Mississaugas, the Anishinaabe, and the Haudenosaunee for welcoming us to their territory, and I thank all the survivors that are here today. I thank you for your ongoing effort to expose the truths, all the truths, about the colonial genocide that happened and is happening in Canada. I, of course, always recognize the empty chair, the ceremonies that were conducted by Laver and Wendy and Peter. I say thank you, Nawe, for those. And, you know, they were invited, as mentioned, to invite the spirits of the children to be here with us today, to see the important conversations and to see how everyone is coming together as one to help their spirits journey home. Everyone is welcome to leave medicines on or near the chair and to offer prayers in whatever way you offer for the spirits of the children throughout the gathering. I also recognize the sacred items that are in the room today and know that they will help carry us through the difficult conversations that we will be having. And I too want to acknowledge the firekeepers that were out there last night tending to the fire and will be there for the next 2 days. I say thank you to Doug, Peta, and Louie, Nawe, Nakromik, Marcy, for sharing your words and experiences with us this morning. You have given us much to think about, to learn from, and apply as we further the work for recovering the children and for seeking justice for all survivors and for all children. Today and tomorrow we will be discussing Indigenous laws and how they can and must support the important and sacred work of recovering the missing children and unmarked burials. At every gathering that we have held, survivors and community members have said that colonial laws impede us and that we need to apply our own laws, that there are serious gaps in federal and provincial and territorial legal protections for the burial sites of the children. There is an urgent need to center Indigenous laws and protocols to protect and care for the children and the lands. The Truth and Reconciliation Commission wrote about how the Canadian legal system has failed to provide justice to survivors. In its final report, there are 2 chapters on the legal system. Chapter 5 in the Legacy volume examines the colonial legal system, and its title is A Denial of Justice. In Chapter 2 of the Reconciliation volume, which focuses on the rich content and importance of Indigenous laws and legal orders, is called Indigenous Law: Truth, Reconciliation, and Access to Justice. The Commission found that the legal system, the Canadian legal system, denies Indigenous people the safety and opportunities that most Canadians take for granted. It found that the legal system was a barrier to survivors and continues to be a barrier to survivors in their efforts to bring out the truth of their collective experience. They highlighted that the legal system and colonial laws did not protect the children, and they did little to nothing to uphold the rights of the children and the rights of their parents. The TRC noted that several calls to support and uphold Indigenous laws and systems have been made. The Royal Commission of Aboriginal Peoples, the Manitoba Justice Inquiry, and the United Nations Declaration of the Rights of Indigenous People, just to name a few. The Commission said that because of the failure of the Canadian legal system to stop or repair the genocidal injustice of residential schools, it is only reasonable to suggest that Indigenous people develop and rely on their own laws and legal orders. Elders, knowledge holders have long dealt with harms through ceremonies and peacemaking practices, and by retelling oral histories that reveal how our ancestors restored harmony to families and harmony to communities. These practices are foundational for Indigenous law. They are the foundation of Indigenous law. The TRC highlighted that Indigenous laws stress that humans must journey through life in conversation and negotiation with all of creation. There are many sources of Indigenous law, and we know that Indigenous law is diverse. Each nation across the country has its own laws and legal traditions. Many elders and knowledge keepers have continued to carry and protect the laws of their peoples. The TRC said that the law is essential to finding the truth. It said, however, that Canadian law was used to suppress the truth, that Canadian law was a tool of government oppression, that Canada's laws and associated legal principles fostered an atmosphere of secrecy and concealment, that when Indigenous children were abused, the law and the ways that it was enforced or not enforced became a shield behind which churches, governments, and individuals could hide to avoid consequences of the horrific truths. The TRC said that Canadian law has been and continues to be a significant barrier to reconciliation, and that reconciliation cannot be achieved until Indigenous peoples' own traditions for uncovering the truth are embraced. Law must cease to be a tool for the dispossession and dismantling of Indigenous societies. Canada's legal system must be transformed, and Indigenous legal orders must be supported and revitalized. So today and tomorrow, we will listen and we will learn from elders, survivors, knowledge holders, Indigenous law professors, and Indigenous lawyers, youth, and community members on what their laws and protocols are and how they can and do support the sacred work of finding, honoring, and protecting the missing children. I look forward to our conversations, and I know that we will be kind to one another, support one another, and always remember those that came before us, those that will come after us. I want to close with this quote from DeAndre Thomas Hart, where are you? There you are, who spoke on our youth panel at the Winnipeg National Gathering. She said, "We were so interconnected and intertwined. They saw that, and they used that against us. They scattered us almost like beads. And now we are picking ourselves up one by one. We are color sorting ourselves. We are restringing them along. We are creating our own design, rebuilding our nations. We need to interconnect again. We need to find and redesign ourselves so we can remake ourselves and fit into a beautiful piece again. So let us, over the next 2 days, interconnect and redesign, as Deandra says, for the future and for the faces of those yet to come. Now I miigwech, hi, Marcy, Nakurmik, merci, and thank you.